So I just asked you about your love for learning, and when you just said that in junior high is when you realized.
Yeah. I would rather sit at home and be reading books. All summer long I would read 30, 40 books, everything that I could read. I didn't know when I was in junior high school whether I wanted to be a surgeon or an attorney. In fact, I probably didn't know that until after high school. But I was curious. I wanted, and I think I've understood why I was learning later. I want to know how things work. I want to know why they work. And I'm interested in how people work, and how they think, and how they come to decisions that they do, and how do they fit together in organizations. How does the gospel, and it seems to me that, I guess in the learning that I do, and there used to be a show by, I think his name was James Burke, about history and how these things are all interrelated. And I guess as I started to learn, I would see history and knowledge as like lacework, where it was all tied together in some way and knotted together, and sooner or later it was all connected. And so part of the learning was to understand enough things to see how they connected with each other. It's a curse.
It's a curse?
Yeah, it's a curse, because when you get done, you see things and are aware of things or sensitive things that others who haven't done that aren't. And it becomes your world, but it's not their world. And so you're acting on certain things that you think are self-evident. And the rest of the world is acting on a whole different set of things. And it's hard to imagine.
That's interesting. So you mentioned that at a young age you had a love for reading. So I know that Steve also would rather read than do anything else when he was a certain age, if he had spare time. So where did you guys pick that up from? Did you get that from one of your parents?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. I don't remember that we saw that. Mom, during the time that we were growing up, especially by the time we were in our teenage years,
too busy to read.
She had severe migraines that had her frequently in her bedroom with the lights out for days at a time. That there wasn't enough medication to fix it, and so by the time she came back, it was out of that. It was catch back up on her other things. I don't remember that.
So you talk about your mom and her physical hardships that she endured. So how has seeing her go through that, how has that affected your life? Have you changed the way you live in any ways, or where?
I think it helps me to be sensitive to where Ashley's at, who suffers from fibromyalgia and migraines and carries on throughout her life. It makes me have a great respect for the things that she's able to keep doing in spite of pain and disability. I don't know that because we didn't experience that kind of illness and that in our family. There wasn't a context for acting on it in our own family.
So who was the most influential person in your life, you think, or who did you emulate your self after? I don't know how to word that very well.
Early on, I had a real identity with my Uncle Bud, my Uncle Richard. I had his name. He was an attorney. I grew to have a desire to go to law school. He had excelled in many, many things in his life. So that was an early influence, an early model. Other people that were influential, people that were on our temple shift that had great spiritual gifts, people that were in our lives that were great teachers. I admired people that were great teachers.
And you say your temple shifts. Which temple were you serving in?
The earliest one was in Seattle. We had a great brother. He was a patriarch who was literally a seer, who, as we would talk about the things, he said, I lay my hands on their head, and I see their life play out in my mind like a movie.
Wow.
And for him to talk about the things that he sees as he understands that world and our world and that great inspiration.
So, what would be the one thing that you would want everyone to know about you? What do you think it's important to know about Rick to understand Rick?
I think that I care more than I seem to care.
Good luck.
I care, I'm probably, but I care differently than people understand. I think I'm very emotional. I think my outward bearing isn't emotional at all. And yet, inside I have deep feelings, but mostly it manifests it in ways of organization. My caring for you is to help you get certain things done, that help you accomplish things that you don't even know that you're working on yet, but that I can already see.
So is there anything about your younger life that you wanted to share with anyone? Or about your professional life? Tell us about how you've made going from wanting to be a lawyer into spending most of your working life in body shop business.
Yeah, that was just a matter of reality. You get married, you have 2 kids, and you find out that that's going to be a hard way to go. It comes back to how important individual time is with parenting. I think that's maybe one of the things that I have appreciated, not only with our kids, but with their spouses, is the time individually to spend with them and to talk about their lives. And one of the things that I appreciate most is the times that they have called and asked for counsel, asked for help. It makes me grateful that we have that kind of relationship. It makes me grateful that God gives me inspiration as a father to help guide them, even as they're grown and making all their own decisions.
Is this not powering? Huh.
Is it out? I may have drained it all yesterday.
Okay. Well, it has a little bit more. Finish
Okay.
your thought. I'm sorry.
So it's very rewarding to. I mean, not. It's gratifying that we have that relationship, but to be able to help, and to be able, as they're facing key points in their lives, and how to make choices. I got a call from Kelvin really early in his marriage. Ashley had just gotten pregnant. She was probably 5 months pregnant at the time, and he called and said, "Dad, I need to make more money." He worked for the same company I did, and so I said, "Yeah, you do," because she was going to have to stop working. And he says, "Well, what do I do?" And I said, "Well, you need more training and you need more education." He goes, "Dad, I can't afford to go to college. I'm telling you, I can't afford to pay the bills now." And so that's not what I said. I said, "You need more training and education. You don't need to go to college for that." And so we walked him through a process for him to know how, if he exerted himself and became really driven to perform at his job, that his boss would have to choose him to pull him forward and promote him. And then that was at a Sunday dinner. And Tuesday morning he called me at 6:45, and he says, and the way we talked about it was, show up an hour and a half early, show up an hour earlier than work, and go to work and get your work done. Don't worry about what you're going to get paid. Get it done, and then you'll have time. They'll make you do something else. Mm-hmm. So he called me at 6:45. Tell me, I'm at work, Dad, but it's all dark. Nobody's here. Oh, yeah, we forgot about that. Okay, wait, I'll call your boss and have him get you a key so you can do that. But it has made all the difference for Kelvin in being able to support his family. And, being able to do that, being able to have that kind of influence and help on your family is really rewarding.
So your wife is Gail Pugmire, and what do you think she's contributed most to your personality and to you? I'm not good thinking of good words for this.
And she would reject this, but she helps to keep me grounded, to keep me from being a thinker, a kind of a
just
out
off
there.
In your own.
Yeah, and remember this. She's very, very focused on her kids and on the family. In fact, I think it's one of the things that she regrets the most about working now is the lack of opportunity and being in the East and not back where the kids were. It deprives her of the ability to keep developing and promoting and working with the family and having that relationship. If we had a different way to do it, we would not be in Maryland, and she would not be working.
Yeah, we'd miss you.
I know, and we would miss you back. And you go on the trips that God sends you on, right? And this is the trip He sent us on, and there are reasons for doing it. But when you do that, that doesn't mean that you don't remember Jerusalem.
So, which of your children do you think is the most like you?
Probably Marissa in terms of just intellectually. But each of them have things.
Have a little bit about you?
Yeah, it's a curse.
Here, share. What do you think about? Share that with me.
Kristen's simple acceptance of the gospel and faith. It's just, and I've never in my life ever doubted. I have no time that I can remember that I did not have faith and that I did not know that it was true. And I don't remember anything that I've studied, and I've studied most of it at depth, anything where I came away going, well, that's troubling. Kristen has that same simplicity, that same gift of faith. Colleen, I share the love of music. She's way better than I am. But we have shared that and appreciated that together. Kelvin, we're in the same business, and he thinks organizationally, and that works really well for me. And Marissa is a great thinker and an organizer, and so each of those allow us to have a connection in our own way and our own relationship. So the relationships look very different. But I have the same kind of relationship, and I've built relationships with their spouses as well. They're very important.
I've definitely noticed that about you. So which one caused you to butt heads with the most? Which of your children did you end up having to butt heads with the most? Or were you able just to appreciate them for who they were and not have conflict? I mean, was it a male thing when they're teenagers? Was Kelvin the most...
Kelvin was the easiest.
Oh.
It was the easiest. In fact, neither Kelvin or I know what happens when we get to 3. Kelvin, 1, 2, and at 2 he was moving. We don't know what would happen if we got to 3. Colleen and I never had bumped heads. She did with her mom a lot. There was a lot of
friction there.
Checking, seeing how far.
Checking the boundaries.
Yeah, checking the boundaries. I don't think I have any. I don't have a relationship with the kids that's been a conflict or a.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Oh, you done?
Did you pass?
All right. Anything else you want to share with us before we end it?
Oh, I don't know. What is... one of the things that's interesting is that all of our kids' spouses came from a place not inside of stable, active Mormon families. not for David, not for Craig before, which was Colleen's first husband, nor for Jeff. Ashley's father passed away. She was raised in a beautiful family, but her father passed away before they even got engaged. In fact, it was a great blessing that her father told her before he passed away suddenly of a heart attack that he liked Kelvin and that Kelvin is the guy that she should marry. And that's been a real rock for her. And then then John was not a member. So Heavenly Father has allowed us to have a family where we have been able to expand and extend the blessings of the gospel in families, that didn't have that as a stable part of it. Each of the kids, the spouses are fabulous, and I'm not sure that we had anything particular to do with it except to accept them as they were and be happy that they were part of our family. But it's allowed me to have a different kind of father relationship with each of them as the faithful priesthood-holding patriarch in the family. And they still have fathers, they still love their fathers and that, but in terms of the role model of priesthood holder and that's been very important.
Anything else we should cover?
I think that's great.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.